Welcome to Hollywood Lore, and let's recall the bizarre journey of one of Hollywood's most obstinate actors. Kevin Costner didn't have any connections with Hollywood, and that's rare. At first, he had to take fifth-tier roles, much like Bruce Willis. Bruce and Kevin started their careers quite similar. Both worked as drivers, and both took acting classes after their main jobs. The difference is that Bruce also worked at a nuclear plant, while Kevin just lived nearby. This is supposedly why Bruce went completely bald quickly, while Kevin only got a noble-looking receding hairline. After taking acting classes, Kevin knocked on studio doors here and there but went unnoticed for quite a while. From one of the films he did manage to get into, Kevin was even cut out. That was The Big Chill, where Kevin finally had a part that could be called significant, but he just portrayed a corpse in the end. There's a reference to this moment in Friends, where actor Matt LeBlanc suffered similarly. The Big Chill did very well, by the way. Kevin's corpse didn't impress the audience much, but the film's director Lawrence Kasdan remembered him. It'll help Kevin in the future, but back then, he had to deal with Fandango. Fandango was the directing debut of Kevin Reynolds, who would later become Costner's close friend. The project drew Steven Spielberg's attention, and he suggested making a full-length film based on it. Fandango faced a tiny problem. Spielberg didn't like the final result. That led to Amblin Studios refusing a wide release. The film was shown on only 27 screens, earning a crazy profit of $90,000. Kevin Reynolds quickly moved on to conquer television, but Costner was luckier. As we remember, the director of The Big Chill, Lawrence Kasdan, had a pretty good memory. Kevin starred in a small movie called American Flyers when he received Kasdan's offer. Kasdan said later that he felt sorry for the guy who worked so hard on the set of The Big Chill only to end up playing a corpse. He decided to give Kevin a chance to portray a living person. Silverado became one of the first westerns released after the epic failure of the film Heaven's Gate in 1980. According to Costner, exactly after this film he fell in love with westerns. Silverado wasn't a hit at the box office. With a budget of $26 million, it only grossed $32. However, the movie was praised by critics and even received 2 Oscar nominations. Silverado became a breakthrough for Costner. Critics praised and noted him more than others, and Kevin finally started receiving serious offers. One of them was from director Oliver Stone. Stone wanted Kevin for his new film, Platoon. Kevin immediately turned him down. According to Kevin, he didn't like the overall tone of the film. It's unclear which role was offered, but most likely it was Charlie Sheen's. The offers kept going. And finally, in 1987, Kevin woke up a star after Brian De Palma's The Untouchables movie was released. The project had a bunch of problems and almost fell apart when Marlon Brando disregarded portraying Al Capone, even though he was offered $5 million just for 3 weeks of shooting. Elliot Ness's part was also unpopular. Michael Douglas, Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, and even Don Johnson could have played Elliot. Frankly speaking, Johnson wasn't refusing it, but was too busy starring in the Miami Vice series. Brian De Palma didn't want to cast Costner and resisted for a long time. Later, he said that he didn't know such an actor and wanted a big star for his film, and the producers were offering some Kevin Costner. But since none of the actors De Palma wanted agreed, he eventually surrendered, and Kevin got the job. Alongside Kevin, Sean Connery and Robert De Niro also gained their share of fame. For Sean Connery, The Untouchables became a lifesaver. After winning an Oscar for this film, Connery returned to the top, where he stayed until his retirement. Costner was turning down everything, except probably only Die Hard. The production of the project began, and all the Hollywood actors repeatedly refused to play the main role. All actors but Kevin Costner. No one even offered him that. Some sources say that producers considered Kevin but quickly dropped the thought. Costner was always ready to explain what was wrong with the project to producers, and they had no interest in hearing such brutal stuff. After refusing to play in the movie Big, Costner snagged the role in Bull Durham from actor Kurt Russell. Russell was involved in writing the script, and his name was often penciled in as the lead character. But Kurt couldn't make it at the time, so he asked to delay filming a bit. Maybe they would have, but Kevin Costner showed his interest. Kurt Russell, however, wasn't upset. After the release, he wrote a personal letter to Costner, congratulating him on a great performance and admitting that he couldn't have done better himself. Bull Durham movie was all about Kevin Costner. He was the central star, and his face was the only one on posters. The $7 million film grossed $50 at the box office. Following this success was Field of Dreams, which, with a budget of $10 million, grossed $84. Around this time, Kevin started developing a strong sense of self-importance. The universe immediately sent Costner a sign that he should do something about this attitude. This sign was the thriller Revenge, based on a novel by Jim Harrison. At first, Revenge was to be directed by John Huston, known for The Man Who Would Be King and The Maltese Falcon. The script was written specifically for Jack Nicholson, who loved the project and wanted to take part. However, due to his busy schedule, Nicholson dropped out. After that, in 1988, Kevin Costner stepped in. Director Huston declined, believing Costner was too ordinary, and in such a complicated movie, he would succeed in portraying a tree at most. But after The Untouchables and Bull Durham, the producers sided with Costner. John Huston yelled it was his film, but was eventually kicked out and replaced by Tony Scott. The film's budget quickly ballooned, and the New World Pictures eventually drowned. The project moved to Sony, which flooded the creators with money. Costner invited Anthony Quinn to join the cast, who was also expensive at the time. There was still money left, so the crew often partied more than filmed. Actor John Leguizamo got so drunk on the set once that he accidentally vomited on director Tony Scott. Since Scott was unable to move at the time, lying under a table, the actor wasn't fired. The film's release in the American market failed, grossing only $16 million. Perhaps Costner would have learned from this, but this film became his only flop over 8 years. Immediately after Revenge, Costner received an offer to play Jack Ryan in The Hunt for Red October, but he declined. He was too eager to work as a director, and soon he had the opportunity. Kevin Costner read the Dances with Wolves script in 1986 and suggested to screenwriter Michael Blake to turn it into a novel. After the novel's release in 1988, Costner immediately bought the rights. The production was challenging. Costner was so dedicated that he nearly contracted pneumonia and almost broke his neck several times falling off the horse. He even refused to use a stunt double for scenes with a real wolf. Though the wolf wasn't wild, it constantly attacked crew members. To protect himself in wolf scenes, Kevin scattered large chunks of meat around, hoping he would appear less attractive to the doggy. In Hollywood, everyone believed the film would fail. There were numerous scandals surrounding the set. Residents of nearby towns reported hundreds of bison being killed during filming. The Animal Protection Society repeatedly interrupted the work, but it turned out that all the creepy dead bison were fake. The first version of the film that Costner gave to the studio was 5 hours long. He was asked to shorten it to 2 hours, but Costner couldn't manage that, so the final cut lasted 3 hours. The film's budget was $22 million, and a part of that money came from Kevin's pocket. Eventually, Dances with Wolves grossed $424 million worldwide. The title of highest-grossing Western was taken from Costner only by Django Unchained in 2012. Costner earned nearly $70 million from the film. It's even more now, but no one knows exactly how much Kevin got from video sales and other revenues. More than that, the film won 7 Oscars. It was the first Western to win the Best Picture Oscar since 1931. Costner instantly became a Hollywood superstar. Any film he signed on to was guaranteed box office success. While Costner didn't demand astronomical salaries, he always included a percentage of the gross in his contracts. Sometimes Kevin claims studios have underpaid him here or there. Usually, these disputes are settled out of court, and Costner receives compensation. There are rumors that, for Robin Hood, he received a 7-figure sum. Critics constantly predicted Costner's films would flop and couldn't understand why they were so popular. Later, critics began to hate Costner. They panned The Bodyguard, but by the end of the year, the film was the second highest-grossing one. Kevin tried to change critics' minds and signed on to various projects that had chances for awards. One of them was Clint Eastwood's A Perfect World. At first, Eastwood wanted to be only a director of the movie, but Costner convinced him to play one of the leading roles. A Perfect World became a well-known example of why superstars rarely work together. It was tense between Costner and Eastwood on set. Both actors had directed Oscar-winning films, and Costner tried to give some tips. One day, after another piece of advice, Costner and Eastwood almost punched each other in the face. Eastwood left the set, but then continued filming using Costner's double. When Costner saw that, he was furious. Eastwood calmly stated that he already had enough close-ups of Costner's face, and if he continued to act like an idiot, the film would be finished without Kevin. A Perfect World was released in 1993 and is often called a turning point in Costner's career. Many were surprised that the film flopped in the US, but it was saved by the international box office, where A Perfect World grossed over $100 million. In the American box office, the film earned only $31 million with a budget of $30. It was expected that the movie would compete for various awards, but it got none. In 1994, Costner faced two flops. The first was The War with Elijah Wood, followed by Wyatt Earp. With a budget of $63 million, it only grossed $23. This was a serious blow to Costner's career, and the talks about his ability to produce hits began to vanish. Instead of curbing his ambitions, Costner decided to make Waterworld. Waterworld became the most expensive movie in Hollywood history at that time. Its budget was around $175 million, but the movie managed to gain only $264. It may seem that 264 is obviously more than 175, but in movie making, things are more complicated. The cinemas have their shares, and the marketing needs are usually pretty heavy. Waterworld was criticized by everyone and called the ridiculous Mad Max on water. Previously, Wyatt Earp had shaken Costner's star status, but the failure of Waterworld delivered a crushing blow. Then, The Postman happened, and put an end to Kevin's status as a superstar. Instead of The Postman, Costner could have starred in Air Force One, which became a box office hit. The script was written specifically for Costner, but he declined, deciding to try The Postman. Even after the film flopped, Kevin had a chance to redeem himself. Michael Bay offered him the main role in Armageddon. Costner turned it down, probably thinking that Armageddon would sink at the box office and another failure would ruin him completely. Later on, Costner starred in several expensive films, Message in a Bottle and 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Those or Dragonfly weren't successful. The only success in the 2000s was Open Range, in which Costner was a director again. The film did well, but could not revive his career. The actor gradually faded into the background. However, Costner had some luck on TV. In 2012, he won a Golden Globe for Hatfields and McCoys. It's amusing to note that Costner couldn't completely escape the Jack Ryan saga. In 2014, Kevin appeared in Kenneth Branagh's Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. Although he didn't play Jack Ryan himself, as was proposed to him in the 80s, it was also a Yellowstone, which became popular and showed good results, marking the first regular TV series role in Kevin's career. Next year, he worked as a voice actor for the first time, lending his voice to a dog in a movie, The Art of Racing in the Rain. In 2022, Kevin began production on Horizon, an American saga, and this summer, the first part of this Western epic will be released. Costner acts as director, writer, and producer, and plays the leading role. The ovations at Cannes might be a sign that the superstar of the 90s is about to make a big comeback. Perhaps Kevin Costner could have remained a superstar back then if he had chosen Air Force One and Armageddon instead of The Postman. What do you think about Kevin's comeback? Let's stay in touch and wish you to explore more Hollywood lore.